Basically, my wife and I, 36-year-old female and 38-year-old female, just to be clear, both women, are struggling with how to handle a delicate situation with our daughters. Both 9-year-old females, I'll call them Nova and Luna, fake names. The girls have been dancing for years, and a couple of years ago, we let them start competitions. The way their studio works, there is a general open team where parents pay a fee for specialized competition choreography, extra classes dedicated to practice, entry fees, etc., and an elite team, which is audition only. This team operates on scholarship, so certain class competition/private class fees are waived, although there are minimum studio requirements for both teams. You can see where this is going. Both girls auditioned last summer. Nova made the team, Luna did not. While I was heartbroken for Luna, I also don't think it's the worst thing for a child to be disappointed. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Obviously, it's hard for her. But realistically, there will be many times that something similar happens to both girls over the course of their lives. As with any set of siblings, we all move at our own pace and have our moments in the sun, so to speak. And learning to celebrate each other's success, even when you're a little jealous, is a good life lesson. Nova has been working with her elite team for a couple of months now. And Luna is still upset. She's on the general open team. My mother-in-law has started to get vocal with my wife and I that pulling Nova from her team is the only fair way to handle things. But to me, and to an extent, my wife, it seems the opposite of fair to take something away from Nova to spare Luna's feelings. For what it's worth, we've needed to set boundaries with mother-in-law before for treating the girls as twins rather than two children. And I feel this scenario is something of an extension of that. Luna also insists that it's only fair that her sister give up her spot since they can't be together. Nova would love her sister to be a part of the team, but doesn't want to quit no matter what. She's proud to have been chosen. It seems like a terrible precedent to set. If Luna gets a place at a better university, would we make her reject it to spare her sister's feelings? If Nova is the first to find a partner, does she have to end it if Luna is single? Unfortunately, my wife is starting to crumble under the weight of her mother's criticism and wondering if we should pull Nova and let both girls audition again in the summer. I feel like it's vital we don't and allow each girl to take the opportunities they earn. To be clear, if the roles were reversed, I'd want Luna to keep her place also. So Reddit, am I the idiot? Edit, just because I see it coming up a lot, I have suggested we get Luna an extra private lesson per fortnight so she has a better chance of making the elite team next year. Right now, she isn't interested because it doesn't fix the now that a 9-year-old functions in, but if she changes her mind, I'll make that happen. Second, edit. Another thing I'm seeing a lot is the suggestion we should have Luna swap styles / pull her out of dance entirely for a new activity. While I totally appreciate why this seems like a good plan, Luna loves dance and hasn't expressed any interest in changing styles. If she wanted to, we'd be 100% okay with that. But I don't want to push her to pick up something new just because she isn't the star in her chosen hobby. I'd rather teach her there's value in doing something for the love of it, regardless of how well you perform with regard to others. Thanks for suggesting though. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Let's assume your mother-in-law is right. She isn't. It's unfair that Luna didn't make the team. Okay, that's a little subjective, so sure, it sucks. Things aren't always fair in life, so this is an important life lesson. The only fair way to handle this for Luna is to move Nova to the other team. Okay, if we do that, how is that fair to Nova? She worked hard for her spot. Not to say Luna didn't, but Nova put in the effort and earned a place on the team. In what world is it fair to take that away from her? You are not the jerk, NTA, and your wife needs to realize that even if taking Nova off her team is fair to Luna, it isn't fair to her. And if you punish her this way, and it will be seen as punishment, there's a very good chance she loses interest in dance entirely. Then what? Do you take them both out of dance because Nova doesn't want to do it anymore? Stand your ground, OP. You're making a hard decision. But it's the right one. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Notice how your mother-in-law's argument is only taking Luna's feelings into consideration. That it's unfair for Luna to be on the general team while Nova gets to compete at the higher level. But take the time to consider things from Nova's perspective if you pull her from the team. Nova gets taught that her own accomplishments are not allowed to be celebrated or relished in, and she is forced to be dragged down to her sister's level at all times. That's just as unfair for Nova as it currently is for Luna, so there is no fair scenario, no matter which way you slice it. Your point about future achievements, like college admission or finding a partner, is exactly valid. At the end of the day, your daughters are two individuals with their own abilities and faults, and life is going to impact them differently. And the sooner they, and your mother-in-law, come to terms with that, the happier everyone will ultimately be. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been a week since I last posted about the dance dilemma with my daughters, Nova and Luna, and my mother-in-law pushing for Nova to quit her elite dance team to spare Luna's feelings. I've got an update for you all, and let me tell you, it's been quite the eventful week. First off, the tension in the house had been building up since my last post. Nova was feeling guilty about being on the elite team, and Luna's disappointment was growing every day. My wife was caught in the middle, trying to please everyone, and I could see it was wearing her down. We had a long talk after reading your comments, and we agreed that we needed to handle this as a united front. We decided to have a family meeting to address the situation head-on. We sat down with Nova and Luna and explained that it's important to support each other's successes and work towards our own goals. We reminded them that they are individuals with their own strengths and that it's okay to be on different paths. During the meeting, Luna broke down and confessed that she felt left out and just wanted to be with her sister. It was a heart-wrenching moment, but it opened the door for us to discuss her feelings more deeply. We reassured her that her time would come and we would support her every step of the way. Now, here's where things get interesting. After the family meeting, Nova did something that left us all speechless. She went to her dance instructor and asked if there was any way Luna could participate in some way with the elite team. Not as a full member, but maybe in a smaller role. The instructor was touched by Nova's gesture and came up with a brilliant idea. The instructor offered Luna the opportunity to be an alternate for the elite team. This meant that Luna would learn the routines and be ready to step in if someone couldn't perform. Luna was over the moon with this compromise. It wasn't a full spot on the team, but it was a chance to be involved and learn from the elite dancers. Nova's selflessness brought the family closer together, and even my mother-in-law had to admit that it was a generous offer. She's been a lot quieter since then, and I think she's starting to see that the girls need to be treated as individuals. But wait, there's more. Luna, inspired by her sister's gesture, decided to take up the offer of extra private lessons. She's determined to improve and earn her spot on the elite team next year. Her dedication is admirable, and we're all rooting for her. As for my wife, she's relieved that the pressure from her mother has eased up. We've been able to focus on supporting both girls in their dance journey without the added stress of family drama. In a surprising turn of events, the dance studio has taken notice of the situation and is considering creating a mentorship program where elite team members can mentor dancers on the general/open team. It's still in the early stages, but it's a positive outcome that could benefit many young dancers in the future. So, Reddit, it's been a journey of a week, but I'm happy to report that things are looking up. Nova and Luna are learning valuable life lessons about empathy, hard work, and resilience. My wife and I are proud of how they're handling the situation, and we're grateful for the support and advice we received from all of you. My dad ignores me for his new wife's kids, but when her daughter gets sick, he breaks down and begs me to forgive him, so I plan my move out. But then something changes. I, 17-year-old male, don't have a close relationship with my dad. I would go as far as saying he doesn't even really deserve to be called my dad. My biological dad, yes, sure, he is biologically my father, but he was never a dad to me. When I was younger, he was always working or spending time with his buddies. He'd go on vacations with friends, but not with us. He wasn't even around for my birthdays. My mom got sick when I was 9, and my dad was all emotional about it when he found out. He wasn't around when she was diagnosed, so he was the last to find out. But he didn't change. It was only when she died a year later that he was distraught. He tried to fight over not taking her body, and then for 3 years he didn't take care of himself, and lost his job, and everything. His parents helped him pay bills and groceries, while my maternal grandparents took care of me. He wasn't around. He wasn't a good dad. He mourned Mom and pleaded for forgiveness, but never took the time to be a better dad. He just regretted not being better to Mom. He slowly got his act together, and 2 years ago he met Helena, and they got married a year ago. Helena has 2 kids, a 5-year-old girl and a 4-year-old boy. They don't have dads in their lives, and my dad has stepped up to be a great dad to the 2 of them. He takes them to the park, he buys them stuff, he reads to them, helps with her daughter's reading and stuff, all the kinds of things an actual parent would do. All stuff he never did with me. When I saw him do that stuff with them, I decided that as soon as I was 18, I was out of here and would never look back. I don't care if he changes now. I won't ever be okay with him being a good dad to kids who aren't his. Before he tries with me, the only reason he started reaching out is because Helena's daughter wants me to be her brother and seeks me out. So I avoid being around. The few times I was around and she asked me to do something, I said no. She'd get upset, so Dad would try to invite me along. And when it didn't work, he suggested we have boys' nights with Helena's son. Then 2 weeks ago, Dad and Helena told her kids to invite me to a sibling movie night. And when the kids were out of earshot, I told them they are not my siblings and I am not theirs. A week ago, Dad tried to talk to me about how distant I am and how I refuse to interact. He told me I'm being really hard on him. I told him he was never a good dad to me, and why would I give him an easy time? I said, why would I like seeing him be a dad to them when he never was to me? He tried to defend it. I told him he isn't even their real dad, but he was mine. Dad accused me of dumping on him. Then Helena interjected and told me I shouldn't dismiss her kids and my dad's relationship like that, and shouldn't be so hard on him over it. I told her none of this concerned her, and she needed to stay out of it. They told me I was being a weenie and shouldn't hate that Helena's kids have a dad, and I should be glad for them, and shouldn't be so disrespectful. Am I the jerk? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Ask Helena why her kids' dads walked out on her. Why she is so comfortable allowing a man who opted out of parenting his own kid to play house with hers. What she's going to do when he gets bored and treats her like he treated your mom. She wants to get into your business. Get into hers. Ask your dad why he's better at raising another man's kids than his own. I would wipe the floor with them, as I did with my own sperm donor. If you can go back to your maternal grandparents. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. They aren't your siblings, and you don't have to act like they are to make other people happy. Your dad is TA for how he acted when you were a child, but I think he's trying to heal, and it's okay that he's trying to be better now. However, that doesn't require you to accept new members of his family as new members of your own family, and they need to respect your boundaries. Now, for the update. A lot has happened since my last post, and I've got to say, things have been pretty intense around here. I never expected to be writing this kind of update, but here we are. After that big blowout with my dad and Helena, things got even more complicated. I thought I had made my feelings clear, but it seems like they didn't really get it. My dad kept trying to reach out, but it just made me angrier. I couldn't understand how he could just step into this role for Helena's kids when he never did it for me. But then, something happened that I didn't see coming. Helena's daughter, the little 5-year-old who had been so eager to have me as a brother, got really sick. It was like history repeating itself, and I saw my dad breaking down all over again. He was at the hospital every day, just like he had been with my mom, and I realized that he was actually a good dad to these kids. It was a jaw-dropping moment for me, seeing him so involved and caring. I started to feel this weird mix of emotions. I was heartbroken that this little girl was going through something so tough, but I was also kind of jealous that she was getting all this attention from my dad. I knew it was a messed up way to feel, but I couldn't help it. One day, I went to the hospital to see her, and I saw my dad reading to her in her hospital bed. It was a scene straight out of my childhood wishes. I wanted to walk away, but she saw me and asked me to join them. I couldn't say no to her little face, so I sat down, and for a while it was like we were a real family. But then, as we were leaving the hospital, my dad tried to have a heart-to-heart with me. He said he knew he had messed up with me and that he was sorry. He said he was trying to make things right, but I just lost it. I told him that it was too late for apologies and that he couldn't just erase the past. We had this huge confrontation right there in the hospital corridor. I told him that he had been a terrible dad to me and that he couldn't just replace me with Helena's kids. He looked so hurt, and for a moment I felt guilty. But then he said something that made my blood boil. He told me that I needed to grow up and stop holding on to the past. I couldn't believe he was trying to turn this around on me. I was so mad that I just stormed off. I didn't even look back. Since then, things have been tense at home. My dad and I barely speak, and Helena tries to keep the peace, but it's clear that she's on his side. I've been counting down the days until I can move out and start my own life, away from all this drama. And then, 2 nights ago, something happened that I never expected. I came home late from a friend's house and found my dad sitting in the living room, looking like he had been crying. He told me that Helena's daughter's condition had gotten worse and that they weren't sure if she was going to make it. I didn't know what to say. I just stood there, feeling this overwhelming sense of sadness and confusion. I wanted to hate him, but seeing him like that, so broken and scared, it did something to me. I sat down next to him, and we didn't talk. We just sat there in silence. It's been a rough few months, and I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about everything. I'm angry at my dad for the past, but I can't ignore the fact that he's trying to be better. And as much as I hate to admit it, I'm starting to care about Helena's kids too. My proposal, with her mom's ring, angers stepmom, who wants hers used and threatens to cut us off, so we plan our wedding without her money and stay true to our love story. So I, 25-year-old male, proposed to my girlfriend of 10 years last month. We had discussed getting engaged before, and what we wanted that to look like, and what we wanted marriage to look like for us. One thing my fiancée, Kaylee, was upfront about was she would love to have her mom's engagement ring. Her maternal grandparents had it since her mom was terminally ill. She had wanted it saved for Kaylee, and Kaylee loved the idea of having her mom's ring because it was something her mom designed. She never said I had to, but I knew how much it meant to her. She was also clear that she did not want her dad's wife's, Ruth's, ring. Kaylee does not like Ruth. She doesn't view her as a stepmother or a real parent to her. She tolerates her because she does not want to lose her dad. But she said she would rather get engaged without a ring than have the one from Ruth. I always knew she didn't think highly of the woman, so it came as no surprise to me, and I always knew I would turn it down if offered, even before Kaylee said anything, because her feelings on her were clear. So here's the issue. I got the ring back in November and started planning the proposal. Around the end of November, Ruth was questioning if I had plans to propose. She asked me directly when I saw her one day, and I said Kaylee, and I had talked about it. She mentioned giving me her ring, and I told her thank you, but that wouldn't be necessary. And what followed was a solid 6 weeks of this woman trying to make me take the ring so I could propose. She never even got confirmation that I was proposing, but she was adamant. I started shopping in different stores to avoid her entirely. I thought proposing would be the end to Ruth's pressure, but she confronted me after the engagement and asked me why I rejected her ring but used the other one. I told her Kaylee dreamed of her mom's ring. I was then scolded for referring to Kaylee's mom as her mom. Ruth told me she has been mothering Kaylee since she was 6, and she has been there for her every step of her life since, and she would have wanted her ring more. She told me I was selfish for denying Kaylee that. I told her that Kaylee didn't want her ring, and it should come as no surprise that Kaylee wanted her mom's ring when her mom has been gone for a long time. Ruth then starts on a rant about how she's my future mother-in-law and the future grandmother of our children, and I should be careful how I speak to her, because our kids do not deserve to grow up around such tension. She stormed off and complained to Kaylee's dad. He and Kaylee talked about it. Kaylee apologized for Ruth being over the top and told me I did the right thing. But some of Kaylee's paternal family believe I was wrong and that I am helping keep the gap between Kaylee and Ruth, when in an ideal world, I would encourage Kaylee to be more accepting of Ruth by treating Ruth with more respect and acting as though she's my mother-in-law. It doesn't help that Ruth is still saying I was so rude. Am I the jerk? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Honestly, why are there so many posts like this on Reddit? Too many people trying to force a relationship. You absolutely did the right thing, because you listened to your future wife and did what she asked. It sucks that the rest of the family are ganging up on you, but seriously, just tell them that you were proposing and you got to decide how to do it. Their input is neither needed nor necessary in this situation. Comment 2. Not the idiot. It's not your job to mend things between your fiancée and her stepmom. It's your job to stand by your fiancée and have her back, not go behind it. If someone had said that to me, I'd ask them incredulously if they seriously thought I'd take their side over my fiancé's. Then I'd laugh in their face and tell them they're delusional. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. I really appreciated the support and advice. It's been a busy couple of weeks since I proposed to Kaylee, and boy, do I have an update for you. So, after the whole confrontation with Ruth, things seemed to settle down a bit. Kaylee and I were basking in the glow of our engagement, and I thought the drama with the ring was behind us. Boy, was I wrong. Last week, Kaylee's dad invited us over for dinner. It was supposed to be a celebration of our engagement, but the atmosphere was tense from the moment we walked in. Ruth had this look on her face like she was ready to start something, and I had this sinking feeling in my stomach. After dinner, Ruth pulled out a box and slid it across the table to us. Inside was her engagement ring, the one she'd been pushing on me for weeks. She said she wanted Kaylee to have it as a gesture of goodwill. Kaylee, bless her, was polite but firm. She told Ruth she appreciated the offer, but she was already wearing her mother's ring, the one she'd always wanted. Ruth lost it. She accused Kaylee of disrespecting her and the family. She said that by rejecting her ring, Kaylee was rejecting her as a part of the family. Kaylee's dad tried to calm things down, but Ruth was on a roll. She claimed that Kaylee's mom, before she passed, had told her she wanted Kaylee to see Ruth as her mother. This was news to us. Kaylee was close to her mom, and she would have mentioned something like that. Kaylee asked her dad if this was true, and he looked uncomfortable. He said he didn't remember her mom saying that, but maybe Ruth was right. That's when I realized Ruth had been working on him, trying to rewrite history to make herself the victim. The argument escalated, and Ruth dropped a bombshell. She said that if Kaylee didn't accept her ring, she would convince Kaylee's dad to cut us off financially. Now, we never asked for money, but Kaylee's dad had been generous, helping us with a down payment for our first home. It was a low blow, and it showed how desperate Ruth was to win this petty battle. Kaylee stood up to her, saying that we didn't need the money if it came with strings attached. We left shortly after, with Kaylee in tears and me fuming. The ride home was quiet, but it was clear that this wasn't just about a ring anymore. It was about Ruth trying to assert control over our lives. The next day, Kaylee's dad called to apologize. He said he didn't agree with Ruth's ultimatum, but he also didn't stand up to her. He was caught in the middle, and it was tearing him apart. Kaylee told him she loved him, but she wouldn't be manipulated by Ruth. Since then, Kaylee's paternal family has been split. Some are on Ruth's side, saying we're being disrespectful. Others see Ruth's true colors and are supporting us. It's been a mess of family politics, and it's put a strain on our engagement. But through all this, Kaylee and I have grown closer. We're a team, and we're facing this together. We've decided to start planning our wedding without any financial help from her dad, just to avoid any more drama. And as for Ruth, she's been trying to play the victim, telling anyone who will listen that she's been wronged. But Kaylee and I know the truth. We're focusing on our future, and we won't let her bitterness ruin our happiness. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.